Hi there, I'm Taylor and welcome to Tay TV, the place to be for all things yoga and wellness related. For today's video, we're going to be tackling crow pose, and more specifically poses that will help you feel more confident and grow some strength and flexibility in ways that will help you in this pose. So if you're somebody who struggles with this pose and you're thinking like, oh my god, I'm going to fall on my face, or maybe you have fallen on your face, first of all, join the club. I've been there and sometimes I still do if I'm not like totally prepared for the pose, right? So the poses I'm going to walk you through today, a total of 9 poses, will help you get that strength in your core. It will help open your back, which most people think might not think that is part of the pose, but it's very important. So creating space in your back, and then also opening your hips, getting some hip opening there. All of that is needed to really pop up and feel strong and confident in crow pose. So when you're ready, grab your mat and we'll begin. Okay, so like I said, there's a total of 9 poses. So I'm going to be walking you through each of them, and let's hold them for 5 to 8 breaths each. So if one has, one side and then the other, we'll do both sides for about 5 to 8 breaths or reps depending on the pose. So just to prep that. We'll start in downward facing dog. So one of the more basic poses in yoga that you've often been into. You can just plant your hands, spreading them nice and wide, lifting the hips up and back. And so in this pose, a few things that you want to think about here as you're breathing. You can start breathing now. You really want to lift your navel up towards your spine and really reaching the tailbone back. So creating length in the spine here as you breathe. Keep breathing, continuing to press through all 10 fingers, relaxing the shoulders away from your ears. Keep breathing. And then once you've done about 5 to 8 breaths, you can release your knees, coming to all fours. So that was down dog. Now we'll come to Chaturanga. So this is one of those poses that a lot of people actually do incorrect, and I want to talk you through it a little bit so that you make sure you're not injuring your rotator cuff or anything else in your shoulders. So with your palms spread nice and wide, stepping back your feet, and know that if this is too hard for you with your core right now, you can always come on your knees. That's an option. Otherwise, stepping back into plank. And you want to make sure your palms are under your elbows and elbows under the shoulders, so everything's in line here. And then leaning forward, so rocking forward probably farther than you think you have to. You want to come onto the toes of your feet. And then bending the elbows until they get to 90 degrees. So holding it here, lifting the core, lifting the navel up by the spine. Keep breathing. Making sure the heels are pressing back, shoulders away from your ears. Keep breathing. And then again, when you're done, maybe coming out of that pose after 5 to 8 breaths, pressing back to maybe a child's pose, just relieving some of the tension in the wrists. So a few things with that pose just to keep in mind. Again, coming onto the knees if you can, or if the full extension is too difficult for you. But you want to make sure that your elbows are staying at a 90-degree angle here. Okay? And sometimes our shoulders want to pop down too. Keep them lifted. All right? So just a few tips. I'll do a whole nother video on Chaturanga because it's an intense pose, but hold that there, right? We're building the arm strength here, and the shoulders really growing strength here. So that's important. Then you can come on your back. Actually, we'll come to lizard first. So keeping the hands where they are, maybe press up to down dog for a second, and then stepping forward with that right foot outside the right hand. Dropping the left knee, and then staying here for a bit. So this will really open our hips. Definitely you'll feel this right away. staying on the palms here, and then sliding the back toes on that left foot a little bit back, like maybe another inch or two. Keeping a long spine here, wide across the collarbones. And if you feel good here and you want to take it a little deeper, you can either come down onto your elbows, or you can flip the back toes on that left foot, really pressing back through the inner thigh. You'll feel a deeper stretch there. So wherever you are today, taking a few more breaths here. Again, 5 to 8 total. And if there's a pose that you particularly struggle with, or that maybe that you like, you can always stay a little longer or do a few more rounds of it. And then we'll switch sides. So stepping back to down dog for a breath or two, and then stepping forward with that left foot. Drop that right knee, lifting the heart up. And just breathing here into that left hip. And if you hold it here for like 5 to 8 breaths, and then you're like, okay, I'm gonna do that again, you go up back on the right side and the left side again, you might immediately notice some space that you've created in the hips. So you can see the benefits from that almost immediately, especially if you're someone who has a lot, tight hips here. This is a great pose. All right. Coming out of that pose. And then we'll come onto our backs, coming to happy baby. So one of the easier poses, right? Laying on your back, and then bringing the knees in by your shoulders, so nice and wide, feet up to the sky, or the bottoms of the feet, right? Reaching inside the legs, grab the outsides of your feet, and then pulling the knees and the feet closer towards you. So nice and wide, feeling the opening in the hips. And then for this pose, you want to really lengthen down the tailbone. So you might notice the tendency to pop up here, right? Really lengthening the spine here. And if you find your chin popping up into the sky, drop it down and notice that you start to melt the neck and the head back on the ground. That's what you want. Same thing with the shoulders. If you feel them kind of reaching up, it means that you have really tight hips here. And so you're trying to overcompensate for that, right? So if you're right here and you just can't quite relax the knees or the hips, slide the hands down onto the ankles or even the shins. You can stay here doing this. The most important thing is you want to keep the necks relaxed, the shoulders relaxed, and the spine through the tailbone. Taking 2 more breaths here. All right, then we'll come to reclined crow. So you don't have to do much. We'll stay right here. And just like we had our chaturanga arms, right? So imagine yourself with the wall, well, I guess opposite. Does that make sense? Pressing up into an invisible ground, or as if you could press up into the ceiling on your apartment or your house, wherever you are. So pressing up, right? And then you can lift the head up as well a little bit, bringing the toes to point back away from you, and maybe even bringing the big toes together. So if you're familiar with crow, you're gonna know right away that this is pretty much the shape that you take, bringing the elbow or the knees up towards the top of the triceps, and breathing here for a few more breaths. So really engaging the core here. You'll feel that stretch immediately in the upper back too as well. I mean, this is basically crow pose, right? We're just on our back. So keep breathing. And then releasing that down. And then we'll come to boat or half boat, whatever works for you here. And this is definitely to strengthen the core. So for this pose, I'll show you half boat first. Well, yeah, half boat first. So half boat is a modification of full boat. You're still engaging the core. They're both, more challenging poses. So you'll just lay down with the upper back first, bringing the fingers intertwined behind your head, elbows nice and wide. And then the legs are lifted like 45 degrees. And I'm already shaking because it's challenging, right? So you'll hold this for 5 to 8 breaths, or full boat. If you stay lifted here, you can grab the backs of your legs to start, maybe bringing the shins so they're tabletop position parallel to the ground, bringing the arms out, keeping the chest lifted, or option to straighten the legs as well. So a few options, taking a few more breaths wherever you are. And then lower everything down. Coming back up, we'll come to eagle arms. So you could do full expression of eagle with the legs too. I just really like the arm variation here because it really stretches the back. So for eagle arms, you'll start with the right over the left. So just crossing the right arm over the left, intertwining the arms up through the palms if you can. You'll immediately feel the stretch in the shoulder blades right around here. And so for this pose, we'll come to a slight diagonal so you can see, bringing the elbows up so they're in line with the shoulders, and then pressing the palms away a little bit, so getting the arms to that 90-degree area. Maybe even closing your eyes as you breathe here. And again, you don't have to be sitting if this is, tough on your hips. You can stand and do this as well. But either way, closing your eyes, bringing the attention to that space on your back body between your shoulder blades. Taking a few full deep breaths. So you'll notice when you really close off the front body, you're relying more on the back body, the back lungs to really breathe deeply here. And so that might mean you slow down your breath a little bit. That's fine. Taking a few more breaths. And then you can release that. Other side, so just bring the left arm over the right. Lifting here again, elbows in line with the shoulders, and then pressing the palms away. Again, maybe closing your eyes here, breathing into that space between your shoulder blades. And then releasing the arms. Coming forward to all fours. We'll do some cat-cow. So since we've had that big, deep stretch with eagle, right? Same sensation. And we'll do cat-cow variation. Cat is really the big pose here that's going to open up our backs here. But regardless, cat-cow feels good. So we're going to do those together. So palms under the shoulders, knees under the hips. Drop the belly down as you reach the chest and heart forward. Inhale, the gaze looking up. And then exhale, chin to chest, pressing the palms down into the earth, really opening up behind the shoulder blades on the back. This is the pose I was talking about. And then dropping the chest, looking up. And on the exhale, chin to chest, rounding up, cat. And so maybe holding this pose, this position, a little bit longer, really pressing into the earth, feeling the shoulder blades spreading nice and wide. And again, dropping the belly, gaze up. Again, chin to chest, cat. Drop in the belly, gazing up. And again, chin to chest, really arching up. One more time, shifting the gaze up. And exhale to cat. And coming back to a neutral spine. The last pose we're gonna do is called, I'm totally gonna butcher the name too, Marichinasana, Marichyasana, There's a couple variations. So I wish there was an English word for it, but I haven't found one. Anyways, we're gonna come to a seated position with the legs out in front. You can remove the flesh from your sits bones. And if anyone knows how to pronounce this name, maybe leave a comment down below. It might help. But anyways, hugging that knee, that right knee into your chest. And then from here, you'll take that right arm, reaching it up by your ear, and then reaching it forward towards that left big toe. Bending the elbow, you can bring the arm around, so out to the right side, outside the leg, reaching back behind that leg and the hip. Taking the left arm, bringing it up, maybe reaching it long first by the left big toe, sweeping it around to the left, and grabbing onto the right hand if you can. And so breathing here, this really, you'll feel an expansion in the shoulder, the back body, a big stretch here. So taking your time breathing and getting into this pose. This is an intense pose too, so if you can't quite do this yet, work on some of the other poses we've walked through. Once you create enough flexibility in your upper back and opening in your hips as well, this pose will become even easier, and then this pose will make crow pose even easier. So you can kind of see as we build on with these poses how everything is connected, right? Taking one more breath. And then sitting back up. We'll switch sides, hugging the left knee in, sitting nice and tall, flexing that right foot. Again, taking that left arm up by your ear, reaching it long by the right big toe, and then wrapping that arm around the outside with the right arm, reaching it forward and then up and back, grabbing onto the left hand. So breathing here, now really opening, focusing on opening the left shoulder and back body. Deep breaths. And a suggestion for this pose too, if this is challenging, maybe work up to doing this up against a wall. That might help with some stabilizing here, and just an option. Taking one more full breath. And then releasing that. So there you have it. 9 poses that if you take your time practicing these poses, going through them a few times, first of all, they're just great poses to help you in your entire practice, right? So there was a little bit of hip opening, there's a little bit of core strength, opening that back body. So this is just a good sequence of poses to do in general, even as just maybe a daily practice. And know that with practice, the more you do this, the stronger you will get in all areas of your body and your practice, and it'll help you with crow pose. So I promise if you keep doing this, you'll see improvements. Yoga is all about practice, right? So keep practicing and let me know how it goes. If you're doing this and you're building your practice and you're building your pose and you're so excited about where you are, you have other questions about it, definitely leave some comments down below. Or if you're on social media and you're posting your progress, I would love to see it. There's nothing that brings me more joy than knowing that people watch this and it's helping them. So if this is helping you work on your crow or your practice in general, find me on Facebook at Taylor Pangman, or Instagram too. I'll leave my handles down below somewhere on here after this video, maybe right here. I don't really know how this works yet, but I'll give it a try, and definitely tag me. I'd love to see your progress. All right. And then finally, as you're continuing to practice these poses and you're getting more strength and confidence to try out crow pose, I have another video that I've created that'll teach you the step-by-step process that I use to get into this pose. So if you're willing to try it now, you're ready, or you're just looking for some other tips or suggestions on how to get even stronger in that pose, I'll post that video at the end of this video, so keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, I will see you later. Keep practicing, my friend. Namaste.